What is up, Badass Life family? Sending all the love from Kuala Lumpur. Normally I'm dropping knowledge on all the sites we're seeing, but today I have to drop some realness because sometimes I get super annoyed at fellow travelers. Now, let me preface this by saying I understand that there's people who travel on a very low budget all the way up to those who travel luxury. We're in the middle, so I get that. And this video is about money. It's about tipping. Should we tip in foreign countries? Because this is a topic that comes up a ton in the travel groups. And it's about us getting charged a little to a lot more, and when it's okay and when it's not okay, and the awareness or the lack of awareness that many travelers have when it comes to going into foreign countries, not realizing that they have a lot less in these places.
Now, obviously, there are wealthy locals in every country. But the locals I'm talking about in this video are those that are in the service industry that don't make much, or those that are just financially suffering, which I've seen in plenty of the places I've visited.
When I lived in Mexico, I lived in Chiapas, which is the poorest state in Mexico. So it brought more budget travelers, which I understand. Of course, you're going to go to where it's cheaper, where you can get out of your country and just hang out in another place on the cheap. That's okay. Now, what most travelers don't realize is the second we, as Westerners, step into a foreign place, the prices go up for the locals. So the rents go up, the price of foods go up, going out to dinner. We squeeze locals out of these neighborhoods. I lived in San Cristobal de las Casas. Locals can't afford to live in the center anymore, so they have to move further out. Prices of everything goes up there. So now all of a sudden, a taxi driver will charge people 25 cents more and people will lose their minds. And it's ridiculous. If you have money to travel to a place, even if it's on a budget, you have more than most of the locals do where you're going to. So for you to bitch and moan that they're going to charge you because you're a foreigner is ridiculous. I want to pay a little more because I know I have more than most locals do. Most of us do, even budget travelers. So I want them to be able to experience the things that we're experiencing in their own country. So if a taxi driver is going to charge me a little more, of course. What we also don't realize is this. Now that taxi driver is spending more money on gas because inflation is happening worldwide. It's not just happening in our home countries that we know have gotten so expensive that we escape them to go to places where we can afford more, where our dollar goes a longer way. So gas prices in Mexico have gone up as well, and that taxi driver has to pay higher amounts in gas, in tolls, in everything. And we expect them to charge the same prices that they would 2 years before, 3 years before. It's fucking bullshit. Now let's move on to my wife's country of Sri Lanka, where they're in economic turmoil. Over the past few years, they've gone just bankrupt and the locals are hurting and the prices, because us tourists go there, have skyrocketed. These people can't afford the food they used to be able to eat. Prices of eggs, of fruit have all gone up. So of course the prices of everything has to go up. Now, I was watching this YouTube video and it just broke me because I'm watching this couple, they're influencers. They have 500,000 followers. They're going to buy a king coconut, which is the best coconut out there. They're going to buy a king coconut water. The guy tells them 300 rupees. That's $1. They haggle him down to $2. We're talking 30 cents. These people have 500,000 viewers, right? 500,000 viewers. They're monetized. They're making money from YouTube and they're haggling this guy over 30 cents? Are you fucking kidding me? And they don't know, most foreigners come to these foreign countries and they don't even think about the locals. They just think, let me squeeze all I can out of them. You clearly have the money to come here. 30 cents doesn't mean shit to you. $1 doesn't mean shit to you. It means a lot to these people. It means feeding their families. So you're going to sit there and nickel and dime over 30 cents? They got blasted, not just by Sri Lankans, but by people all over the world in the comment section saying you're nickel and diming this guy over 30 cents. You know what? I want you to charge a local 200 rupees, 70 cents, and charge me $1. Is it really that big of a deal? They can't do what I can do. They can't travel like I can. So of course, charge me a little more. Go put food on your family's table. Now, there's a big difference between being charged a little bit extra and being scammed. Okay, in Sri Lanka, because of this, there are a lot of scammers. You could go on YouTube and look up scam videos from all the countries, not just Sri Lanka, where they're charging people 2 to 3 times, and cops will arrest people for scamming tourists in Sri Lanka. So that's a beautiful thing. That's a different story because I don't like that shit. I don't take tuk-tuks in any place without ordering it from Uber or Pick Me in Sri Lanka or Grab in the other countries. So that is definitely a different story. That should not happen. It's not just a financial thing. There's a lot of disrespect towards locals. One of the most messed up things I've ever heard in my life happened in Sri Lanka as well recently. I'm going to save that to the end because I want to talk about tipping first. Like I said, a big topic that comes up, a big question that gets asked is, should I tip in a foreign country? The answer is yes. In general, it's yes. You get good service, throw an extra buck, an extra $2, whatever it is. You know, I'm a New Yorker. I'm 20% across the board. I can't not be. If I get bad, terrible service, that's a different story. But I don't think I've ever not tipped unless something was just horrible. I understand in places like Europe, tipping isn't a culture, part of the culture, so it's different. But, you know, we come to these countries, and if you can afford to come here, even as a budget traveler, to throw an extra 50 cents, $1, which probably does not mean much to you, but to the people here, it does. Now, a big problem I had with the tipping that goes back to what I said was when we come to a country, no matter what, when you're the first white people that steps in a place where there's no Westerners, the prices go up. So a lot of people would answer, no, don't tip, then they expect it, they'll give bad service. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You live here. You see the prices go up. It's not just going up for us, it's going up for the locals. So because we're taking advantage of their beautiful country, which is definitely cheaper than ours, they're having a hard time living. So we shouldn't just hook them up a little? Is it really that big a deal? I understand you don't want to tip 20%, fine. But things like, you know, massages and tour guides and waiters and waitresses, yes, it is kind of expected now. And even if it's not expected, to see the look on this guy's face who's waiting on me, who's never going to get to jump on a plane and go to India and Nepal and Cambodia and Dubai and Vietnam and here in Malaysia like I do. They're never going to get to live that life. So just to see the joy on someone's face when you hook them up with an extra, you know, $4 or $5. Yesterday, we had an amazing tour guide on a boat. It was pouring rain. He took us back and we were in the jungle. We were on the Kinabatangan River in Borneo and we wanted to see the elephants. So we're like, yo, please, we begged him. 13 of us went. And a bunch of us were like, yo, we got to hook this guy up. He went way out of his way. It was pouring rain, took us all the way to make sure we saw elephants. So about 6 of us gave him 20 ringgits each, which is about $4, between $4 and $5. This guy doesn't own the resort we were staying at. He's a worker there. How much do you think this guy is making? So to hook him up with an extra, say, 150 ringgit, that's $30. You know how much that probably is to him? It's amazing. So even a little bit goes a long way. So please just think about these things when you go to foreign countries, especially if you have more money than a budget traveler. But even as a budget traveler, a little bit, you can afford to go somewhere even on a budget, you're doing much better than the locals. It's not just financial, like I said. I was talking to this family and they said most people from our country, they're in Bali, they're drinking, they're getting into scooter accidents, just disrespecting everything. And it's not about any specific countries. We all have shitty people in all our countries. I'm from America. We got plenty of them. Whether you're from Europe or Asia or here or there, we come to these countries and a lot of us do shitty things. So in Bali, I heard that they're cracking down on the tourists who are just taking advantage and messing shit up. In Tulum, the infrastructure is crumbling. Even years ago, it can't handle the amount of people are there, and more people are going, and so many of them are spiritual. And they have full moon cenote parties. Cenotes are sinkholes underground, and they're just leaving garbage everywhere. And these are the spiritual heads, the influencers. It's bullshit. So one day, Tulum will probably crumble from this. The infrastructure will crumble. Who's going to be left to clean up the mess? the locals and all the influencers are going to leave. Just zero respect. There's shit in the cenotes, literal poop in the cenotes, in the water, like garbage being dumped, because we don't care. It's what we do. Now, lastly, I'm going to share this story about my wife's country, about something that happened in Sri Lanka, which was one of the most messed up things I've ever heard. Like, just straight up racist. Like, I don't care about locals. I came here and now this is my country. When a lot of people come to Sri Lanka, they set up underground businesses, they skirt the taxes. People from two countries, basically, they threw a party. And on the flyer, on the door, it said whites only, meaning locals not allowed. Are you kidding me? Like, how could you even think that's okay? And they're just scumbags. They don't care. And look, I know you guys mostly hear me teaching about Buddhist temples. I don't curse. I'm a New Yorker. I do curse. I have my other channel where I curse a lot. But so bear with me. This is who I am. But yeah, these people threw a whites only party. So you know what the Sri Lankan government did when they found out? They tore up a lot of visas, many, and sent people back. And these are people that are welcomed into her country, welcomed into other countries, because we disrespect everywhere. And when I say we, I don't mean me. I am a guest. We are guests in these countries. It doesn't matter if you've lived there for 50 years, you're still a guest. It's not your homeland. All right. You have to respect the locals. You know, you have to respect the land there. You have to be on your best behavior. Unfortunately, humanity has really gotten out of hand with, it's hard. It's hard for me, guys. And, you know, if you follow me on my other channel, you'll hear me talk more about that. But it has gotten hard for me just to see people, you know, and I see it a lot in the expat groups and the travel groups. And like, we send out the worst of the worst from our countries to live in a lot of these places and to visit. And I'm just like, God, where did we go wrong? You know? So that's why I try and go extra hard, to just be extra nice, give to people on the street who are suffering, tip extra, and just make sure that people know I am appreciative of being in their country. So I hope you watch this, and I hope that you took something from it. If you had any of these questions, or maybe you didn't think about these things. Maybe you didn't think, you know what, I don't connect with the locals enough. I don't think about them when I go to Mexico or Guatemala or Vietnam or any country. Maybe I don't think about them and think, hey, what Greg is saying is true. So I hope this impacted at least a few of you. You know, I'm not saying go out there and tip 20%, but the moral of the story is be a good human. That's it. So thank you for watching. Catch us on our next adventure here in Kuala Lumpur. We got so much footage, so much amazingness to share. I love all of you guys. Peace.